Good morning from St. Petersburg. I'm Artstarzz, and this is just my opinion, because that's all it ever is, just my opinion. Now, what you're looking at here is what happens on a long weekend, it looks like, and the cameraman didn't show up. They didn't show up to go live. Maybe too many tequilas. I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. Too many tequilas. Of course, we had some crazy weather last night, storms, and had a lot of wind, and we had some rain here in St. Petersburg. And that's what it looks like. But normally, what you should be looking at is a nice view of the Gulf of Mexico. But it looks like I said, the cameramen, they've had too many tequilas. So let's have a look at the street view and see what's going on in the street, because it's a 3-day weekend, Labor Day. For those of you that don't practice Labor Day, yeah, you see the people out. It's a Saturday morning, so they're going to be out getting themselves some breakfast and heading maybe to the beach. Who knows where they're going, but it's busy on a Saturday morning. People get out and about on the weekends to enjoy St. Petersburg. And it's a cute little city, nice little city to visit. If you ever have some extra money, well, depends on where you come from. You better have a lot of extra money to hop a plane and rent a car and do the things people do when they get here. A couple of grand should do it. But I don't know what happened to our cameramen. I don't know if they're going to show up, if they're just running late. Doesn't look like they reported. But this is a live shot of the waterfront in St. Petersburg, and no water. So we're going to do a street shot for the rest of the hour. If I last an hour, I don't know. I was looking around, and I was checking my Twitter page here on artstarzz.com, and I didn't know that Occupy Wall Street is going to have their own TV channel, unless they're pulling, kind of pulling a fast one, and they're calling all of the live streamers TV now. I don't know, but what it says on the tweet is that Occupy movement launches TV channel. TV party attacks. Tea party, TV party. Tea party attacks. So I don't know exactly what all that means, but it looks like the Occupy movement might not be as dead as we thought it was. Especially if they become mainstream TV. That's kind of funny, because that's what they'll be. Once you have a TV channel, I don't care how you cut it, you're mainstream TV. So all the things you've fought against, you're going to become. If you have a TV channel, you're about to become corporate. So, I'm really not against that. I'm not against Occupy becoming corporate, because I think the only way that you're going to change this system is by joining it. And it looks like Occupy is going to be joining the corporate world. And, we'll see how big it gets, or, if it dies on the vine. But either way, I don't know until we get more details about it, and probably looks like the way the details are going to come through will be coming through Twitter. Twitter seems to be the main line to all information these days. Even the big TV companies use Twitter to get some of their information. I seen some breaking news reported on MSNBC, and their source was Twitter. So what they would say, is who their source is, and they don't know if it's true because MSNBC has not checked this thoroughly, but we're going to report it anyway because it sounds pretty solid. So Occupy Wall Street, according to a Twitter person, is going to have their own TV channel. So I don't know how true that is, but like I said, if you're going to change the system, You've got to get into the system and change it from the inside. Protestings are good to, get attention, but the problem with protesting, it doesn't last very long. People cannot afford to leave their jobs or to quit school and, dedicate 24 hours a day to protesting. So, you've got to wise up, you've got to vote, and you've got to figure out a way to really, really get with the 99%. You can't just say we are the 99%, because there's a lot of 99%ers out there that are saying, no, you're not. No, you don't represent us. You don't be saying that you represent us, because there's a lot of people that don't agree with the Occupy movement. But if the Occupy movement, if they can handle this right and be for real, maybe Occupy isn't dead after all. And all it took was some leaders to grab a hold of this and say, listen, we've got something here. I remember when I was back in Denver, and some of the people selling cars were using a lot of the slogans, or the, kind of like, I don't know exactly how you say it, but preachers use it a lot, cadence or cadence or something like that, where you have a rhythm in your voice like a preacher does. And they were starting to use Occupy stuff to sell their cars. So I said, well, maybe Occupy has something here. Maybe they've got something going. But when they would sell the cars, they would use kind of like the way that the protesters would chant, like they're doing now, stand up, sit down, or whatever they're doing in Ferguson, using them little chants. Well, they were selling cars that way. So if the Occupy movement, because they can't they can't do the no leader thing anymore when you have a TV station. You have to be organized. You can't act like the GAs used to act when we all first started watching Occupy. They'd come out there and they'd get in this group and they would have to raise their hands for everything. You raise your hand, you want to talk. You raise your hand, now okay, you got permission to talk. Now you got to raise your hand to say what you're going to say. And it was just ridiculous. By the time anybody who was going to say anything was done raising their hand, first of all, their damn arm was tired. And they forgot what they were going to say. So they got to get past all of that bullshit, and they got to try to get organized, and they've definitely got to have leaders. A lot of people in the chats were saying, you can't do this without leaders. And they were saying, well, we don't want to have leaders because then they'll know who we are and they'll attack our leaders. Well, yeah. Yeah, your leaders are going to get attacked. And it's up to the followers to support the leaders and not let that happen. The Democrats have a leader. We call him President Obama. He's attacked all the time. You don't see him crying about being attacked. He attacks right back. You need to get a strong leader. You can't just have anybody be a leader. You've got to get strong leaders to lead a strong movement. So if Occupy gets a TV station or a TV channel, it sounds to me, like I said, I'm just guessing, because there's only a few ways this is going to happen. Either you're going to get a rich donor, because free is never really free. Somebody pays for it somewhere. Somebody does get it for free, but somebody somewhere pays for it. There's electricity that has to be used. There's cameras that have to be bought. And there's space. You have to have a studio. All that has to be donated. So free is never really free. So what Occupy apparently has managed to do, if this is true, I don't know if this is true. I got this off of Twitter, my main source of information, because I'm told not to watch and get my false information from mainstream media. So I'm going to get my information from Twitter, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But anyway, I was just going through some Twitters and I seen it. Occupy movement launches TV channel. So if they get donors, they get people to support them, I don't know at this time if they have enough small donations to pull this off. At one time, there was some pretty wealthy people supporting Occupy. Michael Moore, um, that Simmons rap mogul, whatever his name was. I don't remember his name, but he was supporting them. There was a few people with money. I think even Robin Williams, of course you can scratch that one, used to support Occupy. And definitely all Democrats. Although Occupy was acting more like Republicans, their main support was coming from Democrats and people around the world who were, other kind. But in the United States, and that's all I can talk about really is the United States. In the United States, the supporters were Democrats. Even the Democrats that say they aren't Democrats anymore. When this first started, they were Democrats. I seen somebody say yesterday in one of the chats that he used to support Obama. He voted for Obama twice, and that Obama is a failure. But when asked what is he actually failed at, the chatter couldn't answer or wouldn't answer. Maybe he was cornered. I don't know, because it's about cornering your opponent in the chats. It's that's really what it's about. And then once you get them cornered, you kick the shit out of them, and then you move on to the next debate, claim victory, and you move on. But this chatter said that he had voted twice for President Obama, and that President Obama was a failure. I definitely don't agree with that. Of course, if you don't want to see it, you never will. If somebody succeeds in something and you don't want to see it, you never will. If somebody is smarter or better than you and you don't want to see it, you never will. Nobody will convince you of it. You will shut your eyes and close your ears and go la 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 la, and you won't hear it because you don't want to hear it. But no, President Obama has been very, very successful. I see it in this time, and history will prove it. Long after most of us are dead and gone or old and gray, history will be proven that President Obama was a damn good president. It's hard to be a president in the United States of America. People learn to hate you quick. Even people that like you hate you. We see it all the time. People don't want to be seen with President Obama come election time. Al Gore tried that with President Clinton. How'd that work for him? Yeah, he didn't want President Clinton around because of the Monica Lewinsky thing. And President Clinton now is as popular as he's ever been. Two-term president. And you're going to say you don't want to be seen with him because what? Made some bad decisions in his personal life? We don't vote for presidents for their personal life. We vote for them because we want them to do something for us as individuals. I voted for President Obama because I wanted the Affordable Care Act. And that was no easy thing to do, and the Democrats controlled Congress at the time. We had everything we needed to control the country for 2 years. And what did we have? In-house fighting. All kinds of in-house fighting. There was the president trying to keep all of this shit together, and the Democrats couldn't get along with each other. They kicked the shit out of the Republicans, kicked them right out of Congress, took control of Congress, and we couldn't get along. But President Obama managed to get us the Affordable Care Act. Now, the Affordable Care Act is just, it's just getting us cheaper insurance. And of course, he wanted Medicaid. President Obama wants health care for everyone, but it's a lot easier said than done. It's more than politics. It's financing. Where's all this money going to come from to give everybody free health care? The money's got to come from somewhere. I know that the people of Canada and other parts of and parts of Europe are all proud of their free health care, but health care is not free. when you talk to somebody from Canada and you start asking them about their healthcare system, most of them are pretty proud of it. But then you ask them, how does it get paid for? Well, they pay higher taxes. They've agreed to pay higher taxes. That's what we have to do in the United States. We have to agree to pay higher taxes. A lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of Americans say, well, I'm not going to pay for somebody else's health care. I'll pay for mine. I'll pay for my kids. I'll pay for my wife, my partner. I'll do that. That's what a lot of them say. But I am not going to pay for somebody else's. So if we're all taxed equally, you're going to be paying for somebody else's health care. It's just like property taxes. My kids are up and grown with kids of their own. But my property taxes go to pay for schools. I don't have any kids in school. Of course, a lot of places, when you get a certain age, 65, you can start becoming exempt from paying parts of your property tax. They'll give you a cut, and that cut is the part that's for schools. But, here in Florida, a lot of the people are, of course, 65 and older. It's a place where people come to, it's the end of the road for a lot of people. They come here to enjoy the rest of their lives and have fun. And, of course, they're the ones who can afford the property tax. They got their guaranteed income, whether it be Social Security or if you worked on the railroad or you work for the federal government, and then you got your 401ks, and you got all these little checks coming in. You can have a nice little income, so you can afford to pay the property tax. But in most states, you can be exempt from part of it if you're 65 or older. So you don't pay for the schools anymore. They cut you a break. You did it for 65 years, and the government is saying that's enough. So they give you a little break, and you don't pay the part of the tax that goes to the schools. At least I think that's what they're cutting out of you. I don't know, maybe, they kind of run it all over the board, and they just take a little percent here and a little percent there, and then they give you like a 10%, 15%, or 25% break on your property tax. And you're still paying for the schools, and they just kind of balance it around. That's what they do. But there's a lot of things that we pay for that we don't use. So why should healthcare be any different? Why should healthcare be any different? Why shouldn't we pay for another American to have decent healthcare? It sounds fair. It would just be one thing less for, the American people to bitch about. And if you got good, healthy people, maybe we wouldn't be so cranky all the time, complaining all the time. Of course, I really don't see the complaints until I come online or I watch TV. I don't go sit down anywhere or go anywhere, and people are just complaining how messed up the country is. ISIS is going to come and get us, or we don't have enough oil, or whatever we're complaining about online. I don't see it in real life. As a matter of fact, when I go to the doctor and I sit down, people pick up a magazine and they don't say shit to each other. They don't even look at each other, much less talk to each other. So all the chatting is going on on the internet, in these chat rooms, and on TV. The talking heads will tell us what they think, and then you have to decide how much of it you want to believe, or if you want to continue to watch it. So Occupy Wall Street movement launches a TV channel. That should really, really, really be interesting. It'll give us plenty of stuff to mirror, because for a lot of us that kind of mirror on the sneaks, afraid that our channel may get shut down if we mirror MSNBC, because I think that's why one of my channels was shut down, is because I was mirroring MSNBC and mirroring some of these places that they tell you not to mirror, because you're supposed to be paying for it. In other words, you're really not supposed to be mirroring Netflix, for example. even though it would make sense to mirror it because it's advertisement. It's free advertisement. Well, that works for us, but it doesn't work for Netflix. They probably figure they have an advertising budget. It's reaching enough people, and nobody should get Netflix for free. You can get that 30-day trial thing, but you really shouldn't be putting it on your channel and giving it to everybody. You know, you pay the and that price is going to go up to $9 or something. It's $8 a month right now, and you know that price should go up $1. And why? Because they need a faster speed, or the feed they got is pretty fast, and the internet service providers are saying, okay, we're going to charge you more for the service you already have because you have the best service, and we do have 2 levels, and if you don't like this service, we can drop you down to the lower speed, and the people will stop using Netflix because it freezes all the time. So they kind of boxed them a good one, and made Netflix and some of the others pay more money. And what happens when they pay more money? They shift it to us as soon as they can. And they told us, okay, well, you can have your price for like 3 months or a year or whatever it is, but expect us to raise your price. Instead of them eating that, they figured it'll take $1 to cover the new high speed that we already have. For me to upgrade to a higher speed from my internet service provider, which is Bright House here in Florida, they want like, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks more a month, so that I never freeze, or that's what they say is going to happen, because I use a lot of bandwidth with the stuff that I do. I freak my modem out. I've got to restart my modem every so often. My modem that I use from Bright House, I've got to restart it every so often. It's even got a little button on the back, because they knew that eventually you'd have to reboot that thing every once in a while. I'm rebooting it more and more, and I think that they're doing that to me. I feel like Rise PDX. Everything is a conspiracy against me. Everybody is against me, and I think Bright House is against me, and they want me to pay that $15 or $20 more a month so I can get what I got. So anyway, back to Occupy Movement launches a TV channel. I think that is really going to be interesting, and I think that we'll be able to mirror them on our little channels, without a hassle, without taking the chance of getting our channel shut down because we're broadcasting something we shouldn't be broadcasting. And originally, the reason that they did that is what people were doing is they were taking like the pay-per-views, boxing, for example. Something pay-per-view that you pay like $60 just to watch it, and people were live streaming it. So that kind of makes sense. That'll cut into the revenue, and that to me makes sense. We shouldn't really be able to do that, but some people would I'm sure have some kind of argument why we should be able to. But if you did, they'd shut your channel off if somebody snitched on you that you were broadcasting stuff you weren't supposed to broadcast. You were stealing. You were infringing on somebody's copyrights. And that's really what it was about, infringing on people's copyrights. Well, if Occupy gets a channel, a TV channel, then I think that we won't have a copyrights problem. There'll be a public channel. I see that C-SPAN did something with their free channel there. And I don't know. I know that I remember somebody saying that C-SPAN gets a little bit of government money. PBS gets a little bit of government money. So we have Occupy Wall Street, the biggest haters of government, the biggest haters of corporation, coming to their senses. Coming to their senses and realizing that you can't beat the monster unless you become a monster. So I agree. I agree with Occupy Wall Street getting some leadership and becoming leaders in this movement. And I agree with them becoming corporate. I agree with them possibly getting government aid, because you can do that if you do things right. You can get government money. They'll give you government money to open up a TV station, if you're legit. They're not going to give me any money, They're not going to give dissenters any money, They're not going to give Occupy World Network News any money. Global Revolution, they're a little bit more established than the rest of us. They're a little bit more establishment than the rest of us. They've managed to get corporate donations, all the while complaining about how awful corporations are. And that's just the way that the real world works. You've got to be a little bit of a hypocrite to get along in this world. Now, I don't know how true it is, but I can only tell you the rumors that I heard, that Global Revolution gets some time donated from Livestream, a corporation. Not only any corporation, they're not any corporation, but they're partly owned by the Gannett Broadcasting System, which is MSM, mainstream media. Yeah, that's the way it goes. You've got to be a bit of a hypocrite if you're going to be, or you're going to get anything done. You can be true blue and honest, but you ain't going to get shit done. You're not going to change the world one little bit. Not even Jesus. Not even Jesus was true blue. Jesus had to be a bit of a hypocrite. When you're trying to lead people, you can be true blue and be an individual. But you can't be true blue and be a corporation or a government, because you have so many people to please. We all know that silly old saying that's been around forever. You can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. So you have to be a bit of a hypocrite. Occupy Wall Street is about to go down that road with a TV channel. That's really going to be interesting. I find that to be good news, that they have taken this step, and that once they do things like that, then I think that more people will become interested in them. Because why? They're part of the system, and they are going to change the system from the inside. Now, that's just my opinion. I have no idea what their plans are. But, unless you join the system, you'll never change it. And Occupy Wall Street, they're getting it. I think that when they did that thing where they were collecting money to pay off people's mortgages, that's joining the system. The only way you can do that is by joining the system. I remember when it was a big thing to get rid of your bank account and just use credit unions. That didn't work. You've got to know when things aren't working. Now, if that worked, if the 99% did join in and drop their bank accounts, you'd be on to something, but that's not going to happen. That's like buying a car and just wishing it didn't run on gas. The car needs gas. And people need banks. I need a bank. How am I going to pay my bills without a bank? Are you going to say, well, don't have bills? And I'll say, kiss my ass. I'm going to have bills. I want my air conditioning. I want the convenience of using the bank. Well, what used to be a convenience is now a necessity, because that's the way our system went. In the old days when, you had to write a check, put it in the mail, go buy a stamp, buy stamps, put the check in the mail it off to the people you owed money to in the old days, yeah, you probably could have got away with not using a bank. But then you would have had to go buy a money order, which would have costed you, 35 to 50 cents back then. I don't know what they cost now, probably $2. And then people said, the hell with this, I'm going to use a bank. This is costing me more. So they said, I'm going to use a bank. And then, you still had to get an old check, put the damn check in the envelope, and mail it off to whoever you owed money to. And then the internet came along, started getting real popular, hooked the banks up, and now you don't have to have a checking account. You got a little card. You got a little card you pay everything with. You go to the restaurant, you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you pay with that little card. You're part of the system. People aren't going to give that up. They're not going to give that convenience up. Not the 99%. You got a few anarchists and radicals. They say we should. That'll make their life better, make them happy, because they don't use them anyway, but they're liars. They're hypocrites. Like I said, global revolution is filled with anarchists who are hypocrites. And it's right there in front of our face. They complain about corporations all the time, all the while taking donations from corporations. Occupy Wall Street, getting ready to start their own TV channel. That's big. That's big, even if they're little. That's big. Because they're going to take donations eventually from corporations. They're going to have auctions or commercials. We had a Channel 6 in Denver that would say all the time, we're proud to say we don't have commercials. We're proud to say we don't have commercials. For about a month out of every year they had commercials. What were the commercials for? The commercials were for auctions. The commercials were to tell you what they were doing on their channel. They're still commercials. They're still asking you for money, no different than any other channel. Just because they don't sell you any soap or deodorant or Viagra, whatever they're selling on these channels, just because they don't do that anymore, doesn't mean that they don't have commercials. And it doesn't mean that they're not a corporation. A corporation isn't this big old mystery. What a lot of people incorporate to get away from a lot of bullshit, like being sued. Man owns a company. His company isn't incorporated. He gets in a car wreck, kills a few people, or injures them. His car insurance only pays so much of that, and they go after his company. But if he's incorporated, it's a lot harder to do. So people become corporations. And it's just like a matter of appointing your wife as a president and your son as a secretary, and it's just this little bit of paperwork. And it takes it away so that if you have a personal lawsuit, they can only sue you for what you own personally. They can't attack the company. And you become a corporation. And the bigger your corporation, the more benefits. Tax exemption is one of them. So, when Occupy gets this little TV channel, we are here on the bottom of it. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Occupy TV develops over the next 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to be interesting to see, how big of a hypocrite they have to become. Like I said, global revolution is what we could probably call the first Occupy Wall Street TV channel. You know, a lot of the Ustream streamers have been calling their channel TV for a long time. Tim Pool and Stop Motion Solo have been calling their channels TV channels for a long time. So the word TV and Occupy isn't nothing new. But to have a legitimate, and that's what I'm thinking, you know, that they're talking about a regular TV channel on the TV. Of course, you know, if you know how to move things around, you can get Global Revolution to come onto your TV. You can get YouTube to come onto your TV. You know, you can get all that to work on your TV. But I'm thinking they're talking about something like PBC. That's what I'm thinking. And what I say about we'll see how big of a hypocrite they become is because they are going to have to do like Global Revolution does. They're going to have to get on there and they're going to have to say stuff like corporations are bad and corporations are evil. And then on the other hand, right behind their back, they're taking money from corporations. Government is terrible. Both parties are evil. That's what they're going to have to say. And then they're going to put the other hand behind their back and they are going to take aid from the government. United States government. So there's going to be a lot of hypocrisy involved in this, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the beast. In order to change, you have to become a monster. To beat a monster, you have to be a monster. That's just the reality of the world. You can deny it all you want to. You can say that corporations are evil, and I don't use corporations. I don't buy nothing from McDonald's. I don't buy nothing from Burger King. I don't buy nothing from Monsanto. I don't use them kind of seeds in my garden. You can do all that as an individual. You can use solar or wind. You don't have to drive a car or use our streets. You can do all of that as an individual, but not as a growing society. A society depends on the members of the society, for better or worse, whether you like it or not. We have to be organized in order to function as a society. Even ants are organized, and they're not even supposed to have a brain. I mean, when you talk about an ant, you're talking about one of the lowest life forms until you start watching ants. And you find out, I don't know why anybody thinks that they're stupid. I was watching ants and bees yesterday on corporate TV. Netflix. We pay for Netflix. Corporation. We use them. And we will be watching Occupy Wall Street TV. I think that is so cool. I don't know why. You know, I've never really sided with Occupy Wall Street. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm a witness. And I'll be witnessing this channel. I'll be witnessing and hoping for their growth. Because I do agree with a lot of things that they say. You know, we are getting screwed left and right by the banks. We're getting screwed left and right by the pharmacies. We're getting screwed left and right by Monsanto, Burger King, and McDonald's, Walmart. We're getting screwed left and right by all of these big corporations. Yeah, the government too. The government will kick us in the butt every now and then. But it's the nature of the beast. It's the hypocrisy that we have to live with in order to function in a society. Because there's so many people that have to be pleased, and you can't please all the people all the time. Somebody is not going to be happy. Somebody is not going to be happy because they have to pay for my health care or your health care. But they'll be happy if we pay for their health care. They're happy because we pay for their kids to go to school. They're happy when we pay for the roads that they get back and forth to their companies to make money. They're happy about that. Although we never use every road in the United States, but our federal taxes go to building the interstate. You know, we've got the user tax. They tax the gas, but still, as a society, we build all these things, and they don't want to pay for our health care. They don't want to pay for us to have better schools. They don't want to pay for our kids to go to college. And it's kind of tricky. You know, I don't know how you could operate a society if everything is free. I don't know how you could do that. I'm sure there's a way, and there's some genius out there who could figure that out and put a society together where everything is free. But all you've done is eliminate the money. It's not free. If everybody went and did their jobs, just did your job and you didn't get a paycheck. They eliminated the paycheck, but everything was free. That might work. That might work. You go to the grocery store, you pick up what you need. The grocery stores are still the same. All the people are still there working. But whatever you need, you don't pay for it. That could work. If the people agree that that would work, the people have to agree to that. In other words, you don't go to the grocery store and grab a bunch of watermelons and take them home and then the watermelons rot. That would be a problem. You don't go to the store and grab a bunch of watermelons and take them to Mexico and sell them because they don't have the same system that we have. So you got to figure out a way to keep the society operating in a way that makes sense. That's what you have to do. That's what the government has to do. That's what the government is for. But like I said, in order for these things to work, there's a little bit of hypocrisy got to be involved in it. Somehow, somewhere, there's got to be a little bit of hypocrisy. And we're about to see the beginning of a movement that was against the government, was against Wall Street, is against corporations, is against banks. Start exercising some kind of hypocrisy. They have to, or they will go nowhere. We're about to see that an organization that was high on no leaders, about to have leaders. They started it a few years back where some people who claimed to be occupiers were running for local offices. I think that in the beginning that the Republicans pretty much took over Occupy Wall Street. Anybody who was doing anything for any length of time required some kind of corporate sponsorship. The little people just weren't kicking in enough money. They required some corporate sponsorship. And a lot of people in Occupy weren't ignorant people. College-educated people that understood structure. Structure of a society requires that you get financing. If you don't have it, you have to go find it. Who has it? Well, there's only two people. Two people other than the people themselves. That's corporations and the government. That's where your money has to come from. I mean real money. I'm not talking about getting 10 people to chip in $10. No guarantee that the next month that money is going to be there. You can't run anything big that way. You need somebody to say, we'll sponsor you for 3 years. And the only way that they can say that is if they're going to be solvent in 3 years. Who's that? Big corporations. Big oil. But big oil isn't going to like it if they're sponsoring you and you're always attacking the XL pipeline. How are you going to do that? How are you going to pull that off? About the only way to really do it is to get mainstream media to sponsor you. And then they ain't going to like it very much if you're always saying that mainstream media sucks. You're feeding off of them and complaining about them. How in the hell are they going to sponsor you? How are they going to send you a check every month to pay your bills, and all you do is say how bad they are? It requires a little bit of hypocrisy to survive in the big game. And the only way that mainstream media is going to sponsor you is if they don't see you as a threat. What would threaten mainstream media? Taking away their sponsors. If you plan to take away their sponsors, that's how you threaten them. That's why NBC and ABC and CBS and all of them are in competition for the sponsors. That's why they want to have the best shows on TV, so that they have the sponsors. Does Occupy Wall Street TV threaten to take any of their sponsors? Not for a while. Not for a while. It took a very long time for PBS and some of these other public broadcasting systems to get a foothold. And still to today, they do auctions to make money. That's what Occupy Wall Street may have to do. But they also had government sponsorship. And there goes your hypocrisy again. There it goes again. It's really hard. It's really hard to survive in a society and be successful. Not just say you're successful, but be successful without a certain amount of hypocrisy. You can't do it. You've got to be two-faced, three-faced, four faces. As many faces that it takes to be successful. To accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. So if you become the monster, can you protest the monster? It's going to be interesting as all hell to watch if this is true. If what this tweeter, whatever he is, tweeple, I think they call them tweeples now. If it's true that there's going to be an Occupy TV channel, not a live stream channel, not a Ustream channel, not a Bambuster or YouTube, a TV channel. Now, the way that they say it, TV channel, it sounds to me, in order for it to make sense, they're not talking about having a TV channel in Portland or having a TV channel in New York. It has to be syndicated. It has to be big. It has to cover the country and then rebroadcast it throughout the world in order for it to be big. And in order for it to be big like that, it requires some kind of sponsorship. Michael Moore, that Simmons guy, he's a mogul, he's big. Look at how big Oprah had to be to. She has her own network, though. You know, she has a bunch of channels. Maybe Oprah will let Occupy have a channel for free on her network. It's not going to be simple, and it's going to require leaders. And once you go in that direction, how long will it be before occupiers start getting involved in elections? And the only way you're going to be successful is if you pick one side or the other. Democrat or Republican. I think the Green Party is probably one of the strongest Occupy people who are in Occupy support the Green Party. I wouldn't. I don't. I wouldn't waste my vote that way. But, if you're trying to build something, there weren't always Democrats. There just used to be, there weren't always Republicans. There just used to be Democrats. And then the Republicans came in and they were the first Democrats. And then the Republicans started acting like Democrats and the Democrats became Democrats again. Can the Green Party pull something like that off? Can they become what Occupy Wall Street wants them to be? Because no matter what, you're going to be part of the system. And when you're part of the system, corporations and government are involved in your life,
it's 10
whether you like it or not. How else are you going to get, just in the United States alone, how else are you going to get to 316 million people? How are you going to get your message out? Unless you have some kind of sponsorship, unless you're some kind of hypocrite. You're not going to get everything you want. And sometimes you're going to, you're going to have to lie, cheat, and steal to get to the top. To get your message across, you're going to have to become the monster to beat the monster. In order to, make some of the people happy some of the time, you're going to have to be the monster. You're going to have to be the hypocrite. There's no way around it. So I'll be watching and researching and see how this thing goes with Occupy TV. Not Occupy Livestream, Occupy Ustream, Occupy TV. Should be interesting. I'm Artstarzz, and that's just my opinion. Have a good day.